Hello guys, this is Glenn from Sydney CBD Repair Centre, and today we have an ROG 5 Ultimate from ASUS with a broken display. You can still use it, but it's not gonna look good. So let's fix it. Replace the display. Let's go! So right off the bat, this is going to be a very complicated repair because this ROG 5 Ultimate is packing a lot of specs on paper and a lot of hardware beneath this plastic cover. This back cover will be removed slowly, and good thing that it's plastic, so it's going to be flexing and not going to be an issue for us if we try to pull it out or pry it open like this with our plastic tools. And there it is, it's open. Be careful though, on the side of it there's a flex cable that needs to be detached before we pull out the plastic back cover. And here it is. Mostly it's for the fingerprint scanner. Some smartphones have these thin flex cables that are like booby traps when you try to remove it yourself to inspect, or maybe you're just curious what's inside your smartphone. You're gonna snap it and it's gonna be a big problem actually. So David is now undoing the screws for these plastic retaining clips and some of the connectors. Mind you, there's a lot of connectors over the battery. You can see that in the middle there's a board that we need to remove, and on both sides of that board is a pair of batteries. So with these batteries, you can see that there's a lot of flex cables going over the batteries, and we're gonna remove one of the two main boards on this device. You can also see some blue thermal paste. When I said that it's gonna be packing a lot of hardware, the amount of connectors and point of failures on this device is really immense. So kudos to ASUS for designing such a good gaming device. To manage this amount of hardware and processing power is gonna be an engineering marvel. And beneath that first board that we have removed, we're also going to remove more connectors. They're attached to the secondary board underneath it. So you can see here, it's going to be tricky. And we're going to remove this one. So each board is also like a sandwich design. Both sides have their own components. So it's really dense in that area alone. So we're going to remove this battery, this specific battery, because underneath it is the connector for the display. So of all the connectors that are going over the battery, it's the display that is underneath it. So it's gonna make our job more complicated. So David is not gonna remove it fully. He's just gonna be slowly peeling this connector off. This is for the display. And after that, he's gonna hold on to that battery beneath this contraption and remove the broken display. So right off the bat, it's really tricky because the cracks has reached the sides, and it's gonna be a struggle to remove a broken display like this. You can tape it up, but sometimes David is just gonna do it without any tapes. So he's a professional, so no worries about him. But the dangers of this smartphone is, first, it's gonna be a tricky, complicated process if you're a newbie or just an enthusiast. So if you're not sure about your skill, if you want to DIY this, don't attempt it. Just give it to David or other qualified, Uber qualified technicians that will do the job for you, because you can see there, we are not removing stuff, but we're also aware that there's some risk that we can snap one of those flex cables or do more damage as we remove this display. So when you replace the battery of this ROG Phone 5 Ultimate, you will need to have those two batteries in pair. So right now, David is now going to proceed in cleaning the old adhesives and of course the remnants of glass, shards of glass at the corner you can see there. So there's also a risk that you can injure yourself during the process if you have really a very damaged display, just like this. So if you are going to attempt this on your own, make sure you have these eye protection, because it can happen that you can fling shards of glass over your face and it's gonna reach your eyes. It's gonna be an unpleasant experience if it reaches that level. So David is now gonna swab this with alcohol. Make sure that the surface is clean and ready for fresh glue. And also we're gonna check if the chassis is level, because some smartphones, when they reach to us, given to David, sometimes they're slightly bent and the replacement display is gonna have some gaps on it. And right here, David is just gonna massage it in a concave formation so that when we attach to the replacement display, it's gonna fit well, snugly over this cutout for the display. So notice that David is not really putting a lot of glue. It's just enough, not little, but just enough for it to cover the area that needs to be glued. So he's mindful that there's some front cameras also, hole for the camera. We're gonna slid in the flex cable for the display, go through the chassis, and then align and press the replacement display. So this part is pretty standard, but when you turn it around, it's gonna be like a mess of cables. So that's why we still recommend that you have it diagnosed with a certified technician or someone expert on the repairs of a gaming smartphone. This ROG 5 is not really your typical design. Sometimes you just have a single battery and a single board. That's what Samsung does. And sometimes you have these multiple battery formation like the iPhone 13 or the sandwich boards like iPhones. But this one has these unique formation with a lot of very curious design choices for the flex cable routing. But we're gonna deal with it because it's the most efficient way of dissipating heat, having the batteries separate, and of course the boards on top of each other so that you can focus the cooling on those parts. Truly amazing device. So David has now installed the second display, routed the antennas, and of course the flex cables. It's gonna be tucked in, these antenna cables tucked in so that it will not be interfered with the power from the battery or other signals from other antennas. You have this clip here. So right now there's really a lot of things going on. Has a lot of parts that needs to be tracked. So David really has taken his time here. We have cut the video drastically, so we don't have to wait for him to finish for like an hour and a half. But right here, we're on the last step. Connect the plastic retaining clips, screw them in, and then turn on the device. So mind you that we haven't really tested the display yet at this point, so we're not sure if it's gonna work, but David is gonna close up the device. That's how sure he is. And we're done. So just a few adjustments on the display. Glue is still wet. And turn it on. And voila, it works. David, as usual, successfully repaired a very complicated smartphone. So if you have a smartphone like this, you have an issue with your ROG Phone 3 or 5 or 5 Ultimate, you can head on to Sydney CBD Repair Centre. You have seen how David does it, so that's a testament of his skill. That's him. And we're just gonna let the glue cure with these rubber bands. So don't forget to like and subscribe our video. If you have any questions, you can leave it over the comment section. You can visit our shop during Vivid Sydney. If you have a broken smartphone, you can leave it to us and while you're out and about in Sydney. Till next time, guys, cheers!
If you want your smartphone fixed for a very reasonable price, you may contact Sydney CBD Repair Centre. We also provide mail-in repair services for customers outside of Australia or Sydney. Just message us so we can arrange the shipping of your device.